All right, so back to the basics. This is part 3. We're actually at the price presentation. You've already now gone through your listing presentation. That's just what you'll do. It's not saying, and somebody's going to interrupt you and say, well, what should we price it at? You need to let them know, I'll get to that, and I have all the documentation on that. I want to show you what I do first, and then get to the pricing. Does that sound fair? And I've never had anybody go, no, I just want to know the price. I take that back. Yes, I have. If they just want to know the price, and where do I sign? What should you do, guys?
There you go.
That's it. Give them the documentation, show them your marketing plan so they know what to expect from you. Give them a copy of your seller's guide and move on. Don't bore them. Just keep moving.
She said something. If I got.
All right, good. So we're trying to push. Good. We're trying to push all further questions to the end of these things, so we're quick. All right, price presentation. You need to know how to present with knowledge and confidence, guys. Again, everyone needs to know, start with this, actual listing presentation, preparing for the sale, listing presentation, the seller's guide. We're now at the price presentation, and I should have put in here, we have another script that says seller's objections or price objections, and we're going to cover that. So, price presentation. Imagine that. We have a script. This is a guideline, guys. You could take this with you, but I think that unless it's your first one, you may not want to have it there. And or if you do have it there, you could use it. Don't act like you're reading it and then talking to them. Put it on the table. Say, hey, look, here's what we're looking at. I want to explain your pricing or the way I'm pricing it, and how we're going to do this for you. And we're going to talk about, at the end of the presentation, right, guys, 3 things. One of 3 things is going to happen. You'll have the opportunity to, and they can be looking at this. You'll have the opportunity to list with me. You'll have the opportunity to decide to not list your home with me, or I'll decide not to take your listing. And any one of these is fine. I'm here to help you guys, okay? But if we can't agree, that's the only place where I would decide not to take yours. And that's because I spend a lot of money and time on my listings and to get it sold for you. I'm a professional. It's all I do. Let's quickly take a moment, review the questions I'll ask you, or that I asked you over the phone. You said you were moving to, you should know these things. And so if you're using this, have that filled in ahead of time. You're moving to be closer to the kids, right? Or you're moving to the Carolinas. You're moving because you want to be closer to the kids. You said you had to be there by 30 days, correct? You'd like to price your home at a 30-day price, right? You don't have to put the price, a 30-day price, right? However long they want to, or however quickly they want to be somewhere else is where then you price it accordingly. So if people want top dollar, okay, but that's not a 30-day price. That's not a weekend price. And then we need to discuss with them that if we price it too low, the market will drive it up. If we price it too high, it's going to naturally be priced down and you're going to have fewer showings and fewer offers. So you said you owe, you should know this amount. This helps them. You're the professional. Why would you want to know what they owe on their house?
Depending on how much they can possibly get a return.
Why would it be any of your business though? And that's why you want to help them get money out. You did want to get the money out, right? These are things where you're encouraging them to price it properly. Now, there are only 2 issues we have to look at tonight. First, your motivation to sell this home. Secondly, the price we sell in your home. Those are the 2 most important things right there. I prepared what we call a professional market price analysis. That's better than a CMA too, don't you think? These are 2 parts. There are 2 parts to doing the research. Part 1, we call fantasy land. This is what homeowners want to list their home for. Part 2, we call reality, what real estate agents and homes actually sell for. We're going to decide tonight where you're going to spend your time. And the purpose of professional market analysis, price analysis, is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of the buyer. Do you know how buyers determine value? Buyers determine value by comparison shopping. This is where you're going to have the comps laying out on the table and the printout sheets of them of the large print buyers only. You're not showing them the brokers. You don't want to give them a do-it-yourself guide. You can give them the ones that's the buyer's sheet only. Doesn't have all the brokerage informations on the bottom, and it's large print, so it's easy to read. And you don't want to bring 20 of them. You pick the best 6 maximum, and that's going to be active. If there's 3 active, great. If there's 3 sold, great. If there's pendings, you can use those as place of the actives because the actives haven't sold. They look at the price of your home based on its features and benefits and compare it with the features and benefits of similar homes. That's how it works. Does that make sense? These are questions you're asking them. For example, if you're going to purchase a new car at one dealership and the same car $20,000 at another dealership, or let me try again. The car, one dealership has it for $20,000, another dealership had the same car for $40,000, but it had Bluetooth, audio, fancy rims. Which car would be more value and why? That's what we're working with as we're doing a pricing presentation. But then go into your comps right there. That's when you present your comps. Again, they were already on the table. So while you're going through this, you put something on the table in front of them. What's happening while you're doing these things and asking these questions? They're reading it. Go figure. They're looking at the comps already. They're seeing what you have. And they're going to say, well, wait a minute. One down the street sold for $975. What do you mean mine's only worth $675? And you can tell them, I didn't even bring that one because it's 700 square feet larger and it has a ton of updates. Yeah, and it happens to be on potable water. So,
it's amazing how many people do bring that up. Well, that's so. Yeah, well.
Yep, it is. All right. So seller price presentation, we've already gone down through all of these things. Now we're going to show what the comps were, how it happened, why your house is better, why your house isn't better, that one's better, similar to yours. These are the things you're comparing with the comps that they're looking at next. And again, if you need to go through these things, you've already written down now, what I oftentimes do is I'll just write the price right here. That's what I think it should be listed at, or a price range. Because again, you can have a weekend price. You want it sold today, we can do that. You want it to sell in 90 days, that price is totally different. It's over here. You want it sold in 30 days, that would be about here. So it's a range. And I give them a range to choose from, but I always know the value that I want to put it at, which my value is a 30-day price. Sometimes it's a 60-day price. If we're going into this market now, I tell them it's a 60-day price because I don't want them to think it's going to sell in 30 at a price and then it doesn't. So again, managing expectations. So what if they don't like your price? Well, it happens a lot. Work them through the actual numbers. Continue back through the list of their competition, active, pending, sold, expireds. Then you can go to here, seller's price objection. Well, what price do you absolutely have to have? Now we can go here because the fact of the matter is just because you're the professional doesn't mean they're going to listen to you. If they are very analytical and they have a price in mind, you need to justify that. If you haven't justified it, you're going to have to ask this question again. Sometimes even if you have justified it, and it depends. If somebody's in debt up to their ears, I have to have this one, or I can't even sell the house. Okay, I didn't realize that. So then you need to talk to them about the fact that, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you already spent the profit on the house. And that's important to say sometimes. Sometimes it's important to be blunt. But here, based on that, here are a couple of important questions I need to ask you. Why do you feel your home is worth $90 million more than the home down the street? Why is it worth more than your neighbor's? Do you really think it's worth more than the one that has a 3-car garage and tile throughout when yours is a 2-car and carpet? Things to think about, and same square footage. And you use their name. That's why it says name. That's not your name. Use their name.
Name.
So, right. So Joey, in today's market, the more you say their name, the less chances of you forgetting it. In today's marketplace, that means you simply bought your home or brought your home up to standard selling price, right? In other words, they've done maintenance on the home. It just means they brought their home up to actual selling price and it's a standard. All homes need a new roof, right? When the time comes, all homes need new water heaters. It's true. All homes need things that are required maintenance. If it's just maintenance items, it's very difficult to say, oh, it's a tremendous value add. I replaced the air conditioning system. Well, it was 20 years old. It needed to be replaced. Now you brought your home up to current standard marketing. But my neighbor down the road, anyway, you just need to help them through this. Help it make sense to them. So let me ask you a question. If a buyer wants to buy your home, but they plan on getting rid of that kitchen island that you put in that you think is worth, $25,000. The moment they buy your home, they're gonna tear it out. How much is it worth to them then? Did you add that to your home for the next buyer or for your own enjoyment? You wanted a bar outside. These folks are what? I don't know, whatever religion, don't believe in alcohol whatsoever. They're going to tear it out, but they love the home. So it has no value to them. It was for your own enjoyment. Help them through this. If you were purchasing a new home, two similar homes were for sale, one for blank and one for blank. This is where, you put the prices in. Which one would you buy? So you can show them what else is active on the market and the price point too. Not just in their neighborhood. This is where you pull the other comps, guys. A lot of folks don't know this trick. Pull the comps around that area within like a 5-mile radius on what that same amount of money will buy. It's an eye opener to people. Wouldn't you want to use the extra dollars or thousands of dollars to do what you wanted with the home? These are the things that you ask them. Don't you think most buyers would feel just like you? Of course they would. That's why I'm going to recommend a price of be bold, state your price, and then be quiet. Of course, it's the price of blank. Based on what we know, do you want to list your home tonight? Here's where you need to teach yourself to just go. And just wait. They're making up their mind. You're not pressuring them. It's just their turn to talk. Don't break that silence. Just sit there and be quiet. If they gave you a water or a coffee, now's the perfect time to go. Great cup of coffee. All we need to do now is simply sign the contracts once they say something. All we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want, the time frame that you want. Wouldn't you agree? When you're doing that, you're turning the listing documentation now in front of them with the pen in front of it. If they're signing like that, I still do a lot of wet signs, guys, and it works. But if you do all of that online, you can. But with a listing, unless it's somebody I know, I get people to sign these things before I ever meet with them, which is amazing. But the fact of the matter is, most of these you are going to want to have wet signed when you're sitting there. So they've made a decision. They can't change their mind and ask you more questions now after you've left. You want to leave with the listing, right? So do it. And then you want to be there and measure their house. You want to take some initial starter pictures. They let them know that the listing presentation itself is only going to take, I don't know, an hour or less. But I'm going to be there an additional hour to measure the home and get some basic photos going. And then we'll get started. Does that sound fair to you? You ask them that question, you tell them what you're going to do, you manage their expectation, and you're in a great spot. So guys, this was where we wrapped up for today, really. And I wanted to make sure that we had covered things nicely. I'm thrilled we got this in under an hour. I have no desire to do super long meetings. We were doing 2 hours and realized that unless people are in here and asking questions after the fact, there's no reason for it. So we're going to be doing it this way. Shorter segments are going to be posted as these shorter segments. And I hope you guys get a lot out of this. And now I'll answer any questions anybody that's on has. Daphne, got any questions? Damn, thrilled to see you up there, girl. All right, Joey, not really? Okay, that's cool. Look forward to seeing you rolling some of your friends' listings in here too. I know you've got a large sphere of influence, so it's going to happen for you. How about you, Joey?
So would you recommend, like the idea behind wet signing? I know I use it for some older crowd in a sense, but I think
dated me. All right, yeah.
Because I do have an iPad, so the ability for me, I literally, instead of swinging papers.
Same difference.
Okay.
One or the other.
Consider, okay.
That's same difference. As
Yeah.
long as you get it done that night, that iPad works great.
Okay, so really,
Or your computer, however you want to do it.
so really it's, if you happen to And this is where in the beginning, I was on so much paper. And I realized I'm like,
Yeah, you don't need to.
I have 50 pages of things, like, you know, CMAs and
Wet sign,
Yeah.
what I mean by wet sign
it's signing.
is
Just
signing
sign.
at the time of the appointment.
Okay,
And a wet
Okay.
sign is typically a pen.
Right.
And it is very old school, so you need to know who you're working with.
right,
You know, if you're meeting with a younger couple, bring your computer, bring your pad,
yeah.
and have them click and sign everything, because they don't even want to read it.
Yes, and
Which scares me.
I think having twofold of having the documents uploaded correctly, because that's something too I've done in one appointment that I was like, I literally uploaded everything while I was there because I had some paper and they're like, you know, oh, we'd like to, you know, do all this. And I just realized sometimes if you don't have their email, if you don't have that information,
Right.
now you're like, okay, how do you spell your name correctly? And you know, stuff like that, making sure all those little details. Seller's a little bit easier because you can, if you have the address, you go online.
Mhm.
That's easy enough, but,
But don't forget, there's never anything wrong with paper and pen still.
right.
And
And-
you use it, you use it, they execute it, you upload it into app files and you drop it in the shredder. You don't
Right.
need it again.
Right. The only thing I have discovered, if they're like me, I have horrible handwriting. So I had some of them fill out like the questionnaire, basic
Right.
seller, frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you read that? And so that's actually when I
That
started.
would be if I did it. I mean,
Yeah.
Leah said she has a cipher, she can read my
Yeah,
writing.
I literally, so that's where I was wondering if that's an idea of like, kind of having, and it's again, I just need to create a system that I just know, hey, this is what we're gonna hit first, and I have that already preloaded, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing preloaded. Like
Mhm.
it's app files, and all right, hey, now this one, let me touch this. All right, now these are the
That's smart.
CMA I did,
Mhm.
and it's already in their app file.
Mhm.
And so you're just opening up, and then if you need information in there while you talk, the only negative that I'm seeing is with a piece of paper, obviously you can print two. Now with certain documents, you can send one in email.
But here's the other thing you can do. Why wouldn't you have a package that you can use over and over again?
That's,
So-
yes.
Here's a listing agreement. Don't
That's-
sign it. That's just an example. We're gonna
Mhm.
sign it electronically. But if you want to really actually read over any of the details, there it
Yeah,
is.
here it is.
If you just want to click and sign, here you go.
And so that's what I'm even in my notes as you're talking, I'm trying to think of a way of like, how can we?
What if the internet goes down?
Yes. So that's,
If
or
you
you
don't-
don't have it.
Right, so
Yeah.
if you have a hard copy with you, you can still move forward.
Right.
And, this is not, we're trying to do everything as electronically as we can. It's
Right.
easier to store, it's
Right.
easier to find,
Yeah.
everything. We don't want the huge file cabinets we
Right.
used to have.
Right.
But if you have it with you,
Mhm.
you can get it executed still. You can still upload it.
Mhm.
You can get their email, which you need, and all the details you need, and then you send them a copy of
Or
it.
you just copy it over. Like you
Mhm.
literally have a piece of paper and you punch it in while
Sure.
you're reading the piece of paper.
Mhm.
I think right now I guess the thing in me is based off of all of the documents and everything that we're going over within the listing thing. Normally I'm going over some of this stuff like kind of I paintbrush it but then I'm seeing the more, even as you're going over, I'm seeing, man, this would be very more beneficial if I do go over from A to Z. Because I kind of clean up my own mess as stuff comes. I
Mhm.
realize that. So like,
So if you preload instead,
yeah,
you've already told them what you're going to
Yeah.
do and how.
yeah,
The only thing at that point is you need to have that in front of you and go, did I do that? Checklist.
Yes.
Did I do that? Checklist.
No.
Hey, I had here, get me out of this and
You
get,
should go.
get
yeah. I think the biggest thing within any system, I mean, I tell this to people I, in a sense, coach and different things like that, is like, it's great to have a checklist. It's another thing to actually do it.
right.
Like, it's great to have systems, but it's another thing to actually do the system.
Mhm.
And so that's where I'll create the system, and then sometimes you just get so quick into something, and then you realize,
Right.
I missed 40 steps.
Well,
And that
and-
comes back to you actually educating yourself on what you're gonna do.
And what if you're working with a seller now? And you're 45 days in? What are they gonna need? A whole lot of,
Hey, buddy, how you doing? How you doing, buddy? It's okay.
but it's true. And then you can go back to
Yeah.
your marketing plan.
Am I doing everything?
Say, look,
Yeah.
and even bring it up to them. Let's just make sure I'm doing everything I told you I would.
Yeah.
And go through it with them, go, oh my gosh, I didn't do this part. I apologize, I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
And that's why you have it there.
Yeah.
And then you're still human, you're honest, but also think of it this way, 60 days in. You haven't done that with them. You haven't reviewed anything with them. They bring your marketing plan to you and 3 things are highlighted and they're like, look, we really wanted to work with you on this. We really wanted you to sell our house. Dude, you didn't do what you told me you were gonna do.
Right.
And, we need to cancel this listing. How are you gonna feel?
Number one, defeated because you're like, I can't believe I didn't do that. Yeah.
And especially if it's a friend of yours
Oh, yeah.
and they're desperate to sell their house.
Yeah.
So instead of now talking about a price reduction, you're talking about the fact you didn't do your job. That hurts.
And you lose now potential referrals and et cetera, because people are gonna be frustrated.
Yep. It can happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been in this business long enough. I've ran into all sorts of different things. I've only been fired from less than a handful of listings and, you know, I've sold about 500 houses now. But it's one of those things where when I have, it's been dishonest people that presented themselves one way
Yeah.
and then acted like I remember.
Right.
Right. Well, I remember one lady
You
very
did.
clearly that acted like, I had not presented all offers, clearly to them. I'm like, yes, I did. You told me you didn't want any offers under this amount. Then I had to get to what are we really discussing here? Do you want to cancel your listing and you're trying to defeat the fact that you would owe me for my marketing? Yes. Okay. And you feel that's honest? Then that would be fair to me. Yes, because you didn't do your job. All right, well, let's go ahead and cancel the listing. I apologize you feel that way. And sign here because I don't want to work for you anymore. And I'll tell them straight up. I don't want to work with dishonest people. Please sign here. We'll release each other. And best of luck to you. They listed with another agent and never did sell the house.
Right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
But actually, I think they still live there.
But go show up. Hey.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
wanna-
how's it going?
You wanna do it again?
But that's the only one I remember because man, that lady was
Oh, yeah, I
really,
remember that
she
was
really.
I had one of those this year that
Oh,
was,
my God.
it was that close.
Mhm.
It's gracious.
But, I've had others for sure where it's like, okay, we want to work with you, but the home's not selling. Like, well, I agree. Let's revisit what I told you we should list it for.
Right.
And, if it's over that amount still, or if it's even at that point now, what do you mean? We find that we came down to the price you said, listen, yeah, 3 months later, the market's going down. We now need to be here to sell it. And there's nobody that's going to do more to market your home than I'm doing. Can somebody spend more money and put it in a print ad somewhere? Yeah, that's only going to reach whoever's actually reading that
Right.
magazine.
I don't
It doesn't
read.
work.
Do you
No.
read that?
Right.
I have all the time.
Do you ever read
You read that?
Right. So it's just a matter of being able to handle those things appropriately. And same thing with buyers. We need to really stalk our buyers. I mean, I don't mean that in a freaky way, but we do. We'll go with a buyer. They go to a new build and, you're not there with them. They can say, I'm working with Joe, Susie Q, whoever. And, the agent goes, well, that's great. Here, just sign in right here. And you can even write on there who you're working with. Because in their sheet, it shows clearly the listing or the selling agent has to be present during the initial introduction to our neighborhood. They weren't here. They don't have to pay you.
Oh, yeah. No, I just had that with a doctor down south in, Englewood, where they're literally, luckily my buyer is he got so frustrated at them. He's like, look, he sent me here. Like, he literally said, go check out this property. You're going down there for your
Right.
family. Go look at the new constructions. He's like, we're looking at 4 to 5 different places.
Yep.
And like, he was, in different places, couldn't make it. Like, well, we can't pay him because he wasn't here. He's like, okay, I was gonna sign a contract, but I guess not. Let me know whenever you're okay with it. And the general manager got a hold of me. I was like, hey, these are about, yes, yeah, man, absolutely. I've been with them. This is the house, here's the email.
Sure.
And they're like, okay. And he's like, I don't even know if I want to buy from him anymore. He's like, that's just shitty.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's just dumb. But
But
you
it's
have
not-
very rare of that.
Yeah, and then how about this one? Your buyer, I mean, and that's where we have to be careful and stay on top of it. Your buyer goes to an open house. That listing agent convinces them that if they don't write a contract today through them, they're going to miss out on the property. Do you have any recourse?
You mean?
Only if they've signed
Oh,
your,
yes.
your buyer's agreement, and even there,
you can still have a,
you really don't have much.
right.
Because the fact of the matter is, the listing agent goes, yeah, well, they had that, but they abandoned them and they wanted to buy through me,
Mhm.
because they didn't want to miss the property.
Mhm.
Bottom line is, if you preload your buyer with that knowledge,
Yeah. all
if you're
that.
there and you want to buy that, you call me, we'll get an offer in within an hour.
Yeah, we will literally, I have everything
Mhm.
prepped before you even go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
I say all the
exactly.
time, I already have stuff
I
already
want you
loaded.
to feel
Yeah.
free to go and look, please have my business cards in your hand it to them. And, if anybody plays that game, number one, they're unethical. You really want to write an offer through them.
Mhm.
It happens all the time. And it's sad.
Well, I mean, we even
Desperate
as,
people.
even us in open houses, what are we trying to do? How's your agent treating you?
Mhm,
They taking care of you?
for sure.
It's, guess what, every other agent does the same thing.
That's
And
a
so it's
moral
like,
statement.
yeah, it's just, are they taking care of you? Well, that's all I care. You're being taken
Yeah.
care of and you're being served. well.
Right.
And so.
But there are others that go, well, he's not with you today. Do you want to go ahead and buy this house? Here's the contract. If you're doing an open house, would you not have a purchase offer with you? Of course you do.
Might as well. Never know
course
what
you do.
happens.
Yeah, and you should, along with all your other agreements and, yeah.
That comes back to the, that little, home package thing that I was telling you about, that I like want to build where people can just, I had it, I was using it for so long that I stopped doing it. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that comes back to having, systems that you execute.
Right.
Yeah.
And even looking at ours, it helps me to do these trainings and what we're doing in here too. We call them trainings, and they are, but they're also just updates. To me, it's updating me all the time. And, you know, we were talking about CRMs and what's the best one to get on with. And then realizing that my CRM's always been my cell phone, and it used to be piles of these spiral notebooks. I took notes in my spiral notebooks because I could write on them while I'm driving. I have perfected being able to write while driving and looking at the road. Yeah, but it worked. And so everything ended up in those, and I didn't have an app file system. It has been amazing how much I have back built, because I've gone back through at least a year's worth now prior to app files, updating in app file system and putting all of it in there, and how you're going, I'm going, geez, I haven't called them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I haven't talked to them in
Right.
6 months.
So that's the importance of having reminders in that system, tasks.
Yeah.
But, and that's an important place to keep all your information. But because, you know, you can put every email, everything in there, pictures of them, you don't forget what they look like. You see them in church, you don't know who they are. It's important stuff.
Right, I mean, literally, I'm at, I think I'm close to 30 homes, and like, literally, there's moments where I was like, I literally forgot I sold you a home. Like, it's crazy to
Right.
think that like, it's been X amount of times, because they maybe were not a good communicator overall.
Yep.
And then it was just such a crazy time when you help buy their house or sell their house, and you're like, when's the last time I talked to Alicia and Nestor? Like, literally, and you're like, call. And they're like, or I'm gonna send her an email, or I'm gonna do this, and just, hey, you know, I was thinking of you, how's the house? And they're like, oh, I need it, like their house particularly, they have fruit trees. Like, oh, can you contact the seller by chance? Like, do you have their number? Like, we just want to know some more information on the fruit trees.
Yeah.
Like, let me
What
see
do they
we can
do? What do they give them?
Yeah.
What kind of fertilizer?
And yeah, it's just, that's where it comes back to CRMs. Of like, okay, having things that, and then
Right.
join it.
But then that stuff, that information you get on the fruit tree, you plug it into app files.
Yep.
And you put a task for 2 months.
Yep.
Follow up, see how the trees are doing.
Yep.
Something to talk about.
Yep.
And in CRM, you're saying, call. That's all you tell them, call. Then you look at your app files. So I think it is important.
It's having that, again, a buttery smooth between.
Right. But none of them work if you don't
You don't use them.
use them. None of these systems that we've worked so
Yeah.
hard on.
You don't use them,
work.
or you just don't do it.
Right.
That's because, like, I had
Yeah.
systems that I was using, wasn't enjoying it. So like, we're literally,
You're
you know, I have,
distracted.
yeah,
Why would I do it? I got the sale.
right, or just, I have 5 other things, I literally have 5 contracts.
Yeah.
I don't have time to contact Jimmy, like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time to call him, and so, okay, ignore or remind me in 3 days, and then
Yep.
guess what, in 3 days, you're still under this, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, now I'm stressed, oh, it's my off day, I'm not gonna, you know, and it just starts building, and so
Yeah.
you have to learn more and more that you just have to do things and set it in a way that again, it's discipline. Like, this is what I'm gonna do.
And that's where, using the dot schedules that we've laid out and stuff, what I'm gonna do that day.
Yeah.
And plugging it into our own schedules, so we actually have schedules to follow.
Yeah.
Makes a difference where you find yourself sitting there watching TV.
Yeah.
And it's like, how'd this happen?
Yeah.
Um,
Wait a minute.
or, yeah, you don't have time for me. I get to go fishing.
Right, yeah.
You know,
But honestly,
I check
like,
everything off.
right, like an honest, I've done my day.
Mhm.
All right, I have no more, like, sure, I can sit here and look at my phone and be, who else can I, da, 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 da. Like, that's great, but like, if you've done a lot of things and you've done it for an hour and a half or 2 hours, you're slot. It's like, you know what? I'm
Next.
gonna go on a walk. You know
Yeah.
what? I am gonna go to the gym real quick.
Right.
I'm gonna go, I'm gonna
I'm
go,
gonna go
and-
fishing.
yeah, I'm gonna go do this. And then, okay, it's 3 o'clock. All right. I'm gonna hit now my listings and
Right.
prep for someone I'm gonna talk to.
And like in our day to day, you know, before it gets dark, I can actually still go do this. And then after dark, I can come back in and do this.
Right.
I'm gonna guess that that's a political call.
You and I both have noticed.
But I, no, I'm getting ready to though. But I do think it's important that we keep these things at the forefront of our mind and that we use them. If we don't, it's a bad thing because you can also do, I mean, I still typically work 6 days a week. Leah's like, Dad, do you realize how much you're working? I'm like, no, but I like it.
But I like it.
And you know, do I want to do open houses every single weekend? Of course not. Who does?
No.
However, I get to.
Right.
I consider it a get to. And, you know, when I'm out
And
there.
you genuinely enjoy that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like you enjoy it. And that's where I'm learning too, even within the real estate world and just in general in your life. Like, okay, there's some things you have to do as a discipline because this is your job. This is the business. Guess
Mhm.
what? This is just part of the gig. You have to understand contracts. You have to understand scripts.
Right.
You have to have guide. You have to understand these things. And guess what? There's other things you're like, well, that's their preference. But guess what? That preference may be the thing that's getting them all of the contracts.
Sure.
And so guess what? You may have to do something that you don't like, that
And,
makes you
and you
uncomfortable.
honor your presentation.
Right.
It says, here's what I'm gonna do. And how about this? I'm in an open house. Hey, Joey, it's Kent. I'm sitting in an open house right now, but I had a few minutes. I wanted to call you, just so you know, if somebody walks in, I'm gonna have to wrap this up quick.
Yeah.
But I wanted to catch up with you. How you doing? If you have that list of people,
There are 2 things, 3 things, 4 things.
you're
at the same time.
knocking it out of the
Yeah,
park.
yeah.
And, so many folks are going to another house and, it's so boring, nobody's showing up. It's like, why didn't you bring work with you? What are you doing?
Yeah, and that's probably the most difficult thing is, again, staying organized. Because when you show up at an open house, your brain is only in that box.
Mm,
Or spaghetti, now you're like, oh, so everything has to be good and everything pretty, and you're just,
Right.
and yeah.
And I set short open houses. I know
Yeah,
that because
that's something I had to
I
learn.
force a window of time
I
that
had to
people
learn.
have to come to. If you give people from 1 to 5, they'll come somewhere in that range.
Right, so
If
we
you
one,
give-
and then.
right, if you give them 1 to 3, they'll be there in that 2 hours. Or they'll show up right at 3 and you have to go back in and open the house up, which we're happy to do.
Right?
Yeah, and one of the first questions, so are you working with an agent?
Yeah.
Great, they can set up a showing for you.
Yeah, I'm so
I've
sorry.
done
I gotta go.
Hey, I've got other appointments I have to
Yeah,
go to.
yeah,
You're not? I can work it in, come on.
yeah.
Glad you're
Come
here.
on, go quick.
Come on, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the other house in the neighborhood yet? No? Okay, well, great. I'll set up showings for this for you throughout the week. And
Yeah, let me grab your number really quick.
Yeah.
Here's my digital business.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. All right, so speaking of which, I do need to get back on other things, but still, you know, we've covered a lot of territory and it's only 10:45. Instead of me sitting here, going down all of the trails and caveats that can happen with these things, I think that Leah has really come up with a good plan here. Do you like it this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what you're gonna find too is when you go in, if you're still there, Daphne, we're wrapping up. Love you guys.
See ya.
Bye.